Good evening. This is Lurking Lately. We're continuing with our kind of easy Norse pagan run. Um, when we last left off, we're just hoping to get our moral authority of our religion high enough that we can reform the religion. We have to get it to 50%, or we have to own all 5 holy sites. It'd probably be much easier to get it going. We're kind of racing against this guy's mortality. He is old, and if he dies, we're going to lose all of our piety, and we'll have to start regaining piety again and raising moral authority. Not the worst thing in the world. In full disclosure, actually, this is the second run that I've been streaming. The last run, our first king died a lot earlier, and I made some major mistakes trying to get our piety up, so I decided to just fully restart. But anyways, when we last left off, I was just kind of surveying the lands, seeing what the situation was, and I realized that we don't have to attack these guys to kind of have them join our empire. We still have about 6 slots left. Now, originally I was hesitant to take these guys into the fold because I wanted to save some slots for when we conquer lands here. However, it looks like the Frankish Empire is holding together remarkably well. So we're going to need a larger. They've got around 7k they can raise. That's only going to go up as as he gets older and more skilled, the King of Francia. So why don't we go ahead and just invite some of these guys into our glorious empire? And actually, if I was thinking about it, when we wasted prestige trying to do like county conquests and stuff up here and pissing off all the Norse vassals for our treachery, we probably could have just invited these guys in, and they probably would have joined. But hindsight's 2020. So let's go ahead and see if we can just invite some of these guys in. Just offer vassalization. And I'm just looking for basically anybody that's in our culture and in our religion group, just to invite them in. So basically, anything along here, we'll invite them in until we hit our limit here for vassals. Oops. Okay. So one guy's joined. Let's have this guy join. We'll invite this guy. And we'll invite this guy. And they'll actually be much happier because we didn't conquer them to force them in. So that just gives us a little more troops to join in. We could probably offer this guy vassalization. He'll probably say no, only because he's larger than the rest. And I'm not really too concerned about these guys. So I was just wanted to get a couple more guys under our belt, so when we do go to war, we're able to call more in. Now, again, if it looks like we're ready to fight Francia and we're short, just a few men, we can always, invite 1 or 2 more guys into the fold. But I think we're good as we are now. So now let's talk about raising our moral authority. Unfortunately, the Franks, conquered and burnt Irminsul, so that dropped our moral authority by 10. They also control one of the holy sites, so that's dropping our moral authority some more. The good news is that, in the last episode I was looking to see how if we can build a great pillar. It turns out it's just a pop-up that happens when you have enough money. So we're just going to keep raiding until we have enough money, build a great pillar. That'll add 5 to our moral authority, and then it's just a matter of burning down enough temples to raise it to the level that we need. Again, hopefully we do it before we die, but that may not be the case. Also, our son's pretty good here. He's got 19 military skill. So we could potentially throw him on the council job. It'll be fairly safe. He'll train troops. The other thing is we can do is we can give our son a minor title. One that gives him a little bit of money and a little, some prestige. I think the best one that we have in terms of prestige would probably be the law speaker. Yeah, so let's give him the law speaker job. It'll also make him like us a little bit more, so that's good. We'll hold off on the council job because he's not actually better than the guy we already have in place. Well, let's just take a look and see if we were to appoint him. Well, Gorm's already one of our loyalists here, right? Well, I guess he's not. So let's see what would happen if we put our son in charge. Okay, so he wouldn't, but we could get another loyalist here in the council position with actually better skill, who would be a loyalist. Are we ready to change our realm laws yet? No, we got 5 years, so let's let it run for 5 years, and we'll rearrange our council as is necessary, and we'll see if we can raise like tribal organizations some. In the meantime, again, let's look kind of how many boats we can get. 18. So let's raise our levies. 1667. That's too many. Unfortunately, you can't like break these down into smaller units, so we're going to be a little bit shorted here. Now, in the year 800, kind of the Viking Age will begin, and we'll be able to kind of build ships all along the coastal provinces. So we have that to look forward to, probably with the next king. This guy won't live to see it, but we can use that to, have larger raiding parties because we'll have larger fleets to be able to carry them around and carry loot. But anyways, let's set these guys for raiding. And we'll put our best men on the job. Here's our fleets. And let's see what's good to raid here. Again, we tried raiding Francia. Didn't really work out. They were able to raise too many men in their defense a little too easily. There's a little bit of wealth here in Middlesex. Let's try raiding Middlesex, see how that works out. Again, I'm also thinking that I was kind of looking around at the map, and up here actually you have a bunch of tribal holdings, and then, Catholic churches. And so these might actually be really good to raid too. The problem is that, Pictlands, future Scotland, it's kind of big, so they may be able to raise a defense. But maybe we'll start up here. We'll see how that works out, how that looks. Because we do have a lot of, temples to raid. And I just think that tribal holdings will probably fall a lot faster than your traditional fort holdings. That's my theory, anyways. So it might just be faster to burn all these things down, assuming they can't raise a defense. If they can, we'll flee on our boats. We'll go someplace else. All right. So it looks like we finally got a murder plot going here, and hopefully it will work. At this point, I don't even care if I'm caught. I just want to kill this kid because, you know, we'll inherit all his money, all his land. It's too much for us to control personally, but we can control a whole bunch, give the rest away, and it'll be very good for our family. Okay, so we were discovered, but we did kill him, and we're a little bit over our demands limit, but that's a good thing. So let's take a look here at our personal holdings. We are all over the place here. Basically, all this land is ours. Okay, well, I do want to keep the coastal provinces, just in case. I'm not sure how long it'll take us to eventually get to our ultimate goal, to get here in Flanders. But we can give away some of this land. So, like, let's say we give away these 3 places, and then eventually we can actually, you know, we can make this into a duchy, or whoever's there could actually create their own duchy. So let's give away these 3 provinces here. Search for unlanded men. Now, at this point, we could give it to our son. Again, I'm not a fan of giving land away to your sons, if at all possible. At least the sons that you want to rule with. Because then they start to have kind of their own foreign policy. They can marry other people. They can join societies. They can do all sorts of stuff that's really not great. You know, they can pick up bad habits. Like right now, we kind of have a lot of control over him. He's kind of like in a stasis here. So let's just give it away to guys who are, you know, good at their jobs. And aren't envious, or what I mean is good at stewardship, who aren't envious or ambitious. So, and since these tribal holdings, you don't have any like temples or sub-holdings, it's fairly easy to give the land away. And if this guy dies before he can have a kid, we can always just turn around and give it to somebody else. So I'm not really too concerned about the distribution here. Alright. And actually that got us a bunch of money too that we inherited, so that's nice. We're just a little bit closer to our goal. We'll just make sure that this is all, this is all Catholic tribal land, so we just want to burn down as many temples as we can, even if we don't get the most loot here, because we just have a ways to go. Now, again, I don't know if it's faster to just straight up assault, like these tribal holdings, or to siege them down. I'll just siege them down to be on the safe side. If you do know better, let me know. Look at this. This dude wants to kill my wife. Unbelievable. What'd she ever do to you? Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. So we could also hold a great blot at this point. Let's take a look at our prisoners. You can't sacrifice kids to a blot. And I'm not really concerned about... We'll just go ahead and banish her just for a little bit of cash. I'm not really concerned about having pagans because they actually get less like prestige and whatnot, and less piety for killing them. But we actually already kind of have hit our piety limit, so I don't think we're going to hold a great blot, but it gives us a good chance to look over our situation here and you know, ransom some of these guys off. Now, I could have sworn that we would have been able to build a great pillar with like 350 some odd gold. I just don't see that option here. Well, we'll keep going until we do get the option to build a great pillar. Alright, so that's one temple burnt, and another 15 to go. That'd be a real bummer if our son died. Real bummer. Alright, meet a friend. I'm not going to live to see most of these, so it doesn't really matter which one I pick. We'll go prosperity in the realm, since we're not going to have to go to war since we're raiding. Alright, let's give away Finvinden again. Just double check, make sure it's the right spot. It is. Very, very odd, though, that I don't have the option to build a Great Pillar. Maybe the price is different than what I thought it was. Alright. Keep having these dudes die on me. Alright, another temple burnt. My son's already stressed, so him being more stressed is kind of a moot point, you know? Alright, keep on with the raiding. You know, for once, probably wouldn't be a bad idea if we invested in military investments. So let's go ahead and do it. Since, you know, money's no longer as big of an issue. This guy doesn't have much in the way of cash. We might as well sacrifice him to Odin. Increase our survivability a little bit. And we can raise, let's raise siege equipment. That'll help with the burning of temples. Add some new commanders. Heck yeah. Got ourselves a plus 2x. So this one's got a little bit of personal combat skill. This has more martial, less prestige. That's fine. We can also give this Knife of the Forest away. Let's give it to our son, make him like us more. Kill my son? Unbelievable. Now, this is a threat we just have to take seriously. do have a good spy master scheme, but I don't know who's trying to kill my son. I can't have that. Not at this stage in the game. The problem is, if we send this guy into hiding, he can get some real weird traits. So I'm going to roll the dice and cross my fingers. Probably going to regret that. I guess he's on some special activity where he can't hide now anyways. This is nice. We got the church on top here. I'm kind of at this point saving the Great Blot because I don't believe it raises our moral authority. I'm kind of saving it up for when we're gonna right before we go to a war. And we don't really have to care about burning down this castle down here. We're almost maxed out for loot that we can carry in our boats. So I think once we burn down this temple, we'll go back, drop off the loot, and re-raise our armies. But I think that actually should put us at the 50 moral authority we need to reform the German faith. Oh, that's some good news, guys. Some real good news. Look at that. And the option to reform is there. Let's pull our men back. Now let's talk about reformation. You know, once you can do that, you'll get this little pop-up, and you can do the nature. There's a lot of good combinations, okay? And there are ones that kind of sync real well, like, but I'll tell you which ones I'm gonna pick, and you know, you can have different reasons to do it, but I'll tell you the reasons why I do it. Proselytizing. I really like this one because I believe that, let's take a look here what it says here for proselytizing. It encourages missionary work. We can have great holy wars. The thing they don't say is that this also means that your vassals will try to convert lands that they control that are of a different religion. Now, seeing that the entirety of our religion is just here, as opposed to the rest of the world, and since we're going to be conquering into Catholic lands, that's very useful just for conversion reasons. Now for doctrines. Now, each culture has their own special one. For the Norse, it's Sons of Ragnarok, and it's basically you can do both prepared invasions, and you've got a reduced ship fee, and you can go into rivers with your ships. So it's basically like having seabound and daring, so you're getting more bang for your buck. Now, I actually don't like the prepared invasion skill here. Like, it would actually be very useful because right now we're fairly small. Well, we're not actually that small if you look at us, county count wise, but we're still smaller than someone like West Francia, so we could actually do a prepared invasion of an entire kingdom. But even the kingdoms aren't that big here. The problem is that at a certain point, you'll be so large that it's less useful for you. And I found that actually, you know, when your vassals are able to do prepared invasions, your empire, they grow huge because they keep invading everybody around them, and your vassals become large and unwieldy, and I just don't like it. I prefer to like be able to really control my growth and the direction that our empire grows and whatnot, and kind of manage my vassals. Your mileage may vary. One that I do really like is meritocracy. Okay, meritocracy just allows you to designate who your heir is. On its face, it doesn't sound that great, but think about it. Right now we're doing all these weird mechanics just so we don't have to worry about our realm splitting up when we die. And yes, those do go away once we become feudal and have the technology and the political ability to change our inheritance laws, so we can change it to something like primogeniture or ultimogeniture. However, what ends up happening then is, with primogeniture, you're basically stuck with the first son you have, or you're stuck with the last son if it's ultimogeniture that you have, and it's much harder to control who gets it. So you still have to worry about, what kids you're having. Should you, divorce your wife? Should you take a vow of celibacy? All this other stuff, all these different things that you can try to do to, get the right son on the throne, or send a useless son out, to proselytize in the hopes that he gets, killed or captured or something. Or you hold off on having a kid, which is really super risky, because if you die without a dynasty member to follow up, you're in a lot of trouble. With meritocracy, it takes a lot of that away, in that you can have as many kids as you want, and then you can just designate who is going to be your heir. Now, there are problems early on in that you still have to follow the laws of your succession, of your succession laws. So right now, meritocracy won't help if we have multiple sons, because we're still in a gavel-kind succession. So we'll be able to pick who our primary heir is succession-wise, right? But we won't be able to stop the realm from fracturing. But once we do have the sufficient technology and ability to switch over to something... Oh, you're looking for divine marriage? I once saw this guy play, and he picked divine marriage, right? And what he actually did was, since he was Norse, he could have kids through concubines, right? Whereas everyone else in his empire was trying to get all the prestige from having the divine marriage, right? So he ended up being like the only guy with who wasn't a horribly inbred monster in his empire by the time the game was over. So it was actually a pretty good strategy actually for a Norse to pick divine marriage, as long as you're willing to work around it. But back to what I was saying. I'm sorry. So once we get, if we pick meritocracy now, once we get to be able to do primogeniture, then succession is something we no longer have to worry about, and we just basically, right? We basically, it's hard for people to plot against you when they're all inbred monsters, So basically, once we get to primogeniture and have meritocracy in place, we just pump out as many kids as possible, and then as you get older, you just basically designate the best, the best, hopefully like a genius or a strong genius or a strong, or whoever your best heir is. And then, if you have another son who's also got great stats or becomes better, you can just switch it around. You can redesignate somebody else. It gives you a lot more control over who your king is, and having a really skilled king, it really enhances your ability to play. I mean, there's nothing worse than getting stuck with an imbecile heir or someone who's just a complete raging idiot or insane. So I do like taking meritocracy. For the second one, I'm less bound by what I like. I actually happen to like astrology a lot. I know it's not the best choice, but astrology gives you access to the Hermetic Society, And once we do settle down and become a feudal system, being a part of the Hermetic Society, assuming you have an heir with a good enough learning skill to join it and to make good use of it, you can start to create all sorts of like magnum opuses, which add bonuses to your characters who have these books. And after a couple of generations of magnus opuses, you really buff up your primary ruler stats again. Now again, this is not the power play. I'm sure there are much better ones to pick. Another good one that's actually overlooked is equality. A lot of times, you'll find really talented women who would make wonderful vassals or wonderful people in your council, and you're kind of hamstrung by your technology and your ability to appoint women. It basically gives you like a whole second set of possible people to pick, for positions and vassal positions. So it's actually a pretty good one to get early on, but that'll actually get cured up by technology. And there's a lot of good ones here. Some of them are specific. But I'm gonna go with my favorite astrology because I just love. I just love the Hermetic Order. Again, not the power play, but not the worst one either. Now, in terms of leadership, you really want either temporal, or you want I can't see which is the one here. I believe it's hierocratic, okay? With a hierocratic leadership, I believe, and boss mode, you can... Ancestor Veneration is good too, because if you have like a really good guy with lots of good positive traits, like the non-sinner ones, you get some bonuses to your bloodlines. Yeah, again, like I'm telling you, like, the reasons why I'm picking them. There's no real right one, except for stuff like leadership, actually. So either pick temporal, which means that you will be the head of the religion, and the title of the head of the religion will pass with the primary title of the kingdom or empire. Okay, so it's kind of like the same situation that the that the Muslims have. I'm not familiar with that. If you explain how in the chat, I'd really love to hear that. And the other good one to have is hierocratic, I believe. Not autocephalous, but hierocratic. I'm not 100% sure. In the next video, I'll probably talk, correct myself. But this is where you do have a head of your religion, but you get to designate who it is. Now, unlike, let's say, the Catholic religion, where the Pope is kind of independent, and you can't really vassalize the Pope unless you, take a heretic religion and then install him as Pope, and it's kind of a big mess. But since we're setting up a Reformed religion, we can set up so that. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great thing to do. Ancestor Veneration is good for that. And then, but I was saying, yeah. So hierocratic. With this, you can set up like who the head of your religion is going to be. You throw it in one of your holy sites, and he will always be like a vassal head of your religion. So I believe that means he kicks money up to you. You can, and since he's loyal to you, you can use him to excommunicate vassals if you want to, straighten out your empire every once in a while and whatnot. But I do like temporal only because, and it's not going to be an issue for a real long time. But eventually, when the crusading portion of this game starts up, as the head of our religion, we can call where we want the Great Holy Wars to occur, and I do like having the control of it. But the only one you really want to avoid is like autonomous for leadership and autocephalous. I think it's autocephalous is the one that's not that good. Correct me if I'm wrong, boss. No, but the ones where you can't call great holy wars or you can't have a religious head, really not that good. But this is the one that I'm going to go with here. Again, this isn't like the power pick. This one's questionable. This one's really good. And I find this one really useful. Others may argue, I mean, there's a lot of other ways. Like if you go online, you can look on like wikis, and they'll tell you like ones that are really great that synchronize with each other. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard not to, because the other great thing about being temporal is you don't have to worry about your religious head's opinion of you. You are the religious head, so your opinion of yourself is great. But anyways, so these are the ones that I'm going with. Look online, see what they say for combinations, and just pick the ones you like, or pick the ones you think might be interesting, and give it a shot. So I'm gonna hit reform. All right, and we've reformed our religion. Now, what this means is that now we've got like the proper reformed Germanic religion, right? And then we've got the old Germanic religion. This is now one of our heresies. So we finally have something for our seer to do, and that is to go around and convert these lands. Now again, because we picked proselytizing, our own followers are going to try to convert these lands as well. So that's good stuff. Let's also appoint a steward. Oh, look, he's got great stats and he's loyal. Again, we'll just leave them at administer realm. These counselors will become a lot more useful once we become feudal. So we've got that going for us. It also says that you have to pick new. See, the reason why we lost like some of these guys is they chose not to convert. So that's their loss, So just pick the best guy with the best learning as your court physician. And then what else do we need? Commander. Let's throw on a commander. We could have made our son a commander, but I kind of want to keep him a little bit safer. Just kind of keep him in the pocket for a little bit longer. But we've basically accomplished our goal. So what do we kind of want to do? Well, we want to get Ragnar in charge eventually. He's no longer stressed, which is good. His stats aren't as good as ours, but he will get better with time. And the most important thing is he does have the Lodbrok bloodline, so that'll help a lot. I think what we want to do is we want to stay in power, if possible, long enough to pass like medium tribal organization, and we can do that in about 2 years' time, a little bit less than that. And then we may also want to, once we pass that reform, we may also want to see if we want to holy war into Frankia. We'll take a look at the different troop types, sizes of levies, and we'll attack Frankia, and then we'll try to kill ourselves, or maybe our son will kill us if we're lucky. And then with the new king, he'll immediately be able to pass a new set of laws, assuming people like him enough, and set up a new holy war. Now, again, we can do holy wars now because we're reformed, so that means you can attack for an entire duchy. It has to be contiguous, so the first holy war is going to be kind of weak sauce, 2 counties, and then the second holy war is going to be kind of weak sauce too, because this is a 2-county duchy here. But then we're going to keep going, west. Well, I do like having young kings starting out, and it's almost time. In 2 years, it's going to be time. 2 years and a little bit of time, and we're going to kind of expand with holy wars westward. The one thing we're going to do is we're going to capture, West Frisia. This also has one of our holy sites. And then we're going to capture Flanders, and we're going to make that the seat of our new empire down here. And then, we'll worry about, switching over to a feudal society and all that kind of stuff. But that's all kind of to come, so to speak. So let's just get our troops home. And we'll go ahead. Send them back. We can go up in our society again. Okay, so here's something interesting too. We can battle our master to become kind of the head, and if we die in this, it's not so bad. If we become the head, though, what we can do is try to go on like a legendary journey. Oh no, not at all. Ivor the Boneless, I really like the earliest start possible. And I think it's actually just a little bit easier in terms of I'm trying to do like an easy pagan run, and I think that the Svejod, Lodbrok early run is probably the easiest of all the pagan runs, so that's why I'm doing it. No Ivar the Boneless for me. So the other good thing is that if we become the head of our group, we can try to start going on a legendary journey. And that almost guarantees that we're going to die just going around the world killing people. So worst case scenario is we survive and we get another bloodline. Or that's best case scenario. And worst case is that we die and our son takes over. But yeah, let's duel this guy. He's only got 20 combat ability. We got 83. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, come on, you gotta love the Wolf Warriors. Come on. So we'll be, there's no point in killing this guy. We don't want the negative general opinion. So we'll take that. And we are now the head of the Wolf Warriors. And let's just take a look at what that means for our society. So, again, Wolf Warriors is just an awesome society to be a part of. Being the head of it's, +3 martial, +1 prestige per month, better, combat skill, all that kind of stuff. So I think that we have to get a little bit more renown to start like a legendary journey, so to speak. So bring our guys back. Oh, well, we've got scurvy now. We'll get back on land and cure that, hopefully. Oh, you know how if you're part of the Wolf Warriors and you do that legendary journey, where you go down to, like, Italy or Byzantium and you start dueling everybody you see? If you survive it all and come home alive, you get a dueling bloodline. I don't know if you've ever done that before. Alright, so as you can see, like, now that we can actually have ships, and it'll only get better as we are able to build more ships once the Viking Age hits, it's much easier to raise money. I mean, you remember when we first started this game, admittedly we only had 3 counties, but still, I mean, we had to, like, wait between wars to try to get enough money to sustain our armies for war. And now with the ability to raid other places, we've got a ton of money. Now, one of the things we could do with the money is we could actually upgrade our holdings so that we can raise more armies and whatnot. I'm actually going to hold off to that. You see, what's going to happen is eventually, when we raise our tribal authority to max, and when we conquer Flanders, we're going to move our capital here, and we're going to have a recently conquered penalty and new administration penalty. Oh yeah, no. For this one, you have to get to the head of your society and then call for a legendary gathering and then survive a bunch of like insane duels. And then if you get back, you get the bloodline. That's vanilla. So once we do all of that, we're going to be in a real precarious position because once we go feudal, you know how in these past wars, we've raised our own, armies, and then we had called in our vassals as allies, as if they were allies, and they gave us these huge troop counts. We're no longer going to have that. We're going to be a traditional feudal society, so we'll be raising armies that we control ourselves from our vassals. But the only groups that we're going to get large army sizes from are going to be the feudal vassals that we have. And if you look here kind of at the organization, that means like from here on west, these guys will raise us a sufficient amount of armies, assuming once they get past like newly conquered and new administration penalties. But all of these previous cases where we were able to raise large kind of allied armies from our vassals. They're going to raise just troops for us as if they were feudal, but since they're not feudal, it's going to be like next to nothing in terms of troops raised. So what I want to do to kind of counteract that and prevent the West Frankians from reinvading and pushing me out is to have just a ton of money in the bank. And once we have that, and once we settle down, we can really beef up all the upgrades here in our new capital, and that'll help with troop count. It'll help with a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to be saving the money, unless it seems like there's risk of rebellion. Then I might just do a little bit more of development in these lands here that we own now. But let's put down our armies, and let's just well, we should probably take care of these raiders here. It's not nice of them. And he'll probably just run away, but it's not. This guy's got a little. Let's. How long does that last? 3 years? Yeah, let's sacrifice him to Odin. I know. There's something immensely pleasing about playing a pagan and just sacrificing your enemies, It's very direct. What do we got here? We got new commanders available. Alright, we'll make our son a commander. That'll give him a little bit more prestige, make him a little bit happier. And we're just going to let time roll forward until February 789. Excellent. Got rid of my scurvy. And we can raise our tech again. So we've got siege and military. We'll do like an infantry one, since most of our armies are going to be infantry starting off. So we got 1 year of waiting around. Yeah. Let's make our spy master be less slothful. The other thing I didn't think of is this guy right here. He calls himself a king. He's only a duke. Is he of the old religion? He is. No, he's not. Is he? What religion is he? Yeah, he's old Germanic. So let's see if we can't do like a holy war for him. Yeah. So while we wait, let's holy war this guy. Let's do a holy war for Vestlandet. That's 3 counties. Upland here is only 2. And Viking's only 2, so we'll try to get the most land away from as possible. Again, that's one of the great things about reforming religion. It's holy wars. So let's raise our armies. The vassals, call in our vassals. And I guess we'll meet up down here and work our ways up. I don't know where the guy's going to attack from. We'll slow down time a little bit. Oh, because my ambition was to be at peace for 5 years and I failed it, I gotta pick a new one. I don't think I'm gonna get, like, either of these, so let's just say, become exalted among men. Definitely not gonna get it in time. Alright, let's lecture these guys in rough terrain. Seriously? Doesn't this guy understand that there's a new religion in town? We'll kind of wait for his army to form up, then we'll bump our armies into his. This should be a fairly easy war to win once we gather all our troops. Yeah, already he's kind of terrified. Man, look at that martial skill. Oh, man. Alright. It's very rare that you're going to have a 36 in martial. And when you do have that, you kind of gotta, you gotta make hay, you know? So unfortunately, now that we've reformed our religion, since we didn't pick a warlike trait for our religion, we will get penalties for having vassals raised too long. Just like, you know, your classic Catholic religions. The good news is that while, you know, in between wars, while you're waiting out truces and waiting to lower down their dislike of you for raising, you know, troops, you can spend your time raiding. So it's not like sitting around doing nothing like with other religions. You know, there's always something to do. Which is why playing like a reformed pagan is so much fun. Let's expose this guy. The other thing about holy wars that you have to keep in mind, and you'll see this here if I click here, other nations that are of the same kind of pagan religion, they can join in the defense, you know, of your crusade. But I'm really not worried about them. We just have such a large troop count personally, and with our vassals we have even more. We've kind of got this in hand. But it is something to watch out for if you're playing earlier in the game and you're not, you know, you're fighting someone kind of who's almost equal to you. It's worth watching out for. Alright, let's see if he's got any money on him. He really doesn't. We'll sacrifice him. It also looks like our advisor was... We can probably afford to throw this malcontent on here. He is a powerful vassal. So let's just throw him on, make him a little happier. Oh, and it turns out he's not even a malcontent. Good. Advisor's just a nice slot to throw dudes who are powerful vassals but aren't necessarily great at anything. I didn't really look at his stats. Maybe he is great at something, but... Alright, let's enforce our demands. And we'll disband our armies. And we've got some more land here. I know, actually, for a pagan king, it's not bad, you know, learning. Alright, so what are we going to do here? What are our personal lands here? Now, the good thing again about Holy Wars is you capture all the holdings when you win. So those went directly to us, so we can distribute them as we see fit. Now, one idea is to... Oh, the vassal? You see, I like to hold off not giving my son any land whatsoever, because I found whenever I give my son land, he always ends up joining some stupid society and just really mucking things up. So I'm gonna keep him unlanded as long as possible. I don't even care if it costs me prestige later on. But right now we're Gavelkind, so it doesn't matter. So when you're deciding on how to like divide up lands that you've recently conquered or control, A good idea is to always keep all of your personal demance lands close together. So you'll see here, okay, he is in the Wolf Warriors. I recruited him. That's true. I just I'm hesitant to give him land because I've just like been burnt too many times where he becomes like a useless alcoholic or something like that. I don't know. I know it's probably not the best thing to do. I just like to keep my sons unlanded. At least I like to keep the people I want to be my heir unlanded. I don't mind landing family members, just not my heir. I could be wrong. I could be working just from like personal like experience and not actual stats. But I'm gonna keep him where he is. So when you're keeping your lands, you want them kind of all contiguous. So if there is a revolt, you can quickly gather your armies together and form a kind of a doom stack and go around destroying rebellious armies one by one before they can form their own doom stack. But we're not actually going to be keeping this land here for ourselves. Like I said, we're going to be moving over to Flanders. Oh, and once we have the right succession, namely primogeniture, then yeah, I'm going to spend all of my time as we conquer all these new duchies installing family members. But for right now, I'm keeping the family tree real tight, as you can see. Only one son. Marry an old lady just so I don't have another son, that kind of thing. So normally you want to do that, but we're not planning on keeping these lands. We're going to move over here eventually. What I do want is as much land that touches the sea as possible. So this land here that we conquered in Vestlandet, yeah, it's got new administration and recently conquered, but that's going to go away soon because they're like same culture, almost the same religion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away these 3 provinces here. Okay, this means that again, if I want, I can create duchies as vassals. And actually, now that we've got that money, that may not be a bad thing to do. Start creating duchy titles and giving the land away. And in fact, I think I might do that. But right now, I'm going to give away these 3 pieces. Now, this is a piece of like sea land that's adjacent to my home demance here. But if I give this away cleanly, if a duke rises, he's not going to be pissed at me for having land in his duchy. I think that's the way we're going to do it. So let's give away these 3 pieces of land. Again, I like to keep my vassals divided. So I always pick people who have who aren't rulers currently. And again, no ambitious, no envious. Look at this guy. He's already like a better administrator than all these other dudes. And he's just a 13-year-old boy. What we could also do is like throw in, because this is the duchy capital, we could throw in some guy who's humble there, or content I should say. Like this guy right here. He's content. He does have like a genetic defect, but I'm not too worried about it. At least I hope it's not a big deal. So let's grant him Vista. And then we'll give this guy kinda. And we'll give, look at that, I can hold up to 10 demons. Okay, well I'll keep this coastal piece right here. Actually, we are kind of getting to our vassal limit. Now, as a pagan, since we call in our vassals into war rather than have them raise troops that we add to our own army, we're less bound by this. But I think that we do have enough cash here that it would be a good idea to start forming duchies. And so I think that's what we're going to do. I think our next king is going to have to deal with this family here. They control far too much. The duchy capital is here. This guy likes us pretty good, and he's content. Let's create this duchy of Urgisland. He owns 2 pieces of land, huh? I didn't think of that. Well, let's give it away. What the hell? That's for the next guy to worry about. He's also powerful. He likes us a lot, too. So, conceivably, we could go to our council. He's not that good at stuff. I mean, his best skill is being a intrigue, and he's not that good at it. But what we can do is, so this guy from Seyland, who we just mollified by throwing on the council, we're gonna immediately piss him off by hopefully replacing him. And we'll replace him with this guy who we just raised up who loves us. This should give us 1, 2, 3 plus my vote. This should give us enough votes so that we will be able to pass the next level of tribal organization. So that's good. Let's talk about some other land here that we can turn into a duchy. Alright, and the capital's right here. Right? The duchy capital's here. Okay, so let's create the Duchy of Helsingland. We'll give it to this guy. He'll probably get overthrown by her because she owns more land. But, that's fine. When you're creating duchies, you kind of want to give it to places that have more, more counties that you don't control than the ones that have less. Like, there's a bunch of 2 county duchies here. Well, like, let's see if this guy will. He's probably a different religion, huh? Yeah, he's old Germanic. Okay, we got some more money. Let's create the Duchy of Jamdatland. I'm probably butchering these, names here, but let's do Varund, actually. That makes more sense. And for some strange reason, there's no duchy capital here that I can see. So, we'll just give it to the guy I think who likes us the most, you know? I think it's gonna be this dude. Okay, so that lowered our vassal count a little bit. We're going to be truce locked with this guy until we can do our next holy war. We could also, I guess, do a holy war here on this guy. And then form the Duchy of Nidaros. Let's go ahead and do that. What the hell? I kind of want to, even though this land's all terrible, it is of our culture, and there's not a lot of Norse culture out there. So we might as well have everything that is Norse under our, leadership. So for this one, I think we'll just do a regular conquest, because we only need one province there to finish off the duchy, and this way also other pagans don't get called in. So again, we'll just raise our armies and call in our vassals and go to war. Well, I looked at the different casus belli, and I don't really. Well, let's take a look here. De jure, I'm only the Kingdom of Sweden, so I have all of that. I'm not the Empire of Scandinavia. It's possible. Well, and there's no Duchy of Nidaros that I can see. So yeah, there wouldn't have been a de jure claim. But county conquest is nice. We also could have done, because he's old Germanic, we could have done a holy war. I just didn't want to pull in other pagans. Alright, so we're like almost there. We're actually probably going to like lose more guys from attrition than we are going to lose fighting. Because we're technically fighting. Yeah, I only recently decided to start doing Iron Man. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so like, I'll do I'll just save scum terribly, and then finally I was like, I'm good enough at this game. I might as well just start doing Iron Man runs, even if it's embarrassing, and sometimes I make terrible mistakes. If you're already gonna be streaming, right? Like, then people already see your mistakes, so there's no point in save scumming. You're not really fooling anybody, right? All right, so we enforced our demands. We'll bring our guys back. Let's take a look here. So how are we here? Let's give away this piece of land. It's kind of out there. It's not contiguous to our other stuff. And what's the capital here? I'm guessing it's Nidaros? Yeah. And he's a content kid. Wonderful. Okay. So we're going to save up these content guys here. And we'll give this guy Agliland. And then we're going to create the Duchy of Nidaros once we have the money, which we don't have right now. Alright, so our heir can finally get married. I'm going to say let's do it. We couldn't find a genius or someone who was quick, so we'll settle for a wife who's strong. She's actually not that bad. I wish she had like better diplo and stewardship than, military and intrigue. But, well, do we want to actually marry this? Because we were able to marry before as a Slavic, pagan, because, we weren't a reformed religion. Yeah, I know, right? Sorry, I just read your stuff right here. But, and this wouldn't be an issue except that she's zealous, which means she will not convert to our religion, which means she's, she's gonna always kind of dislike our son who she's married to because she's a zealous Slav as opposed to a Norse woman or whatever, a Germanic religion like us. So I think I might take the... Is there a way to cancel this? What if I just say no? Let's, Yeah, I thought there was a way to break the, whatchamacallit, break the betrothal. Or maybe it's too late because it's time for the marriage, so I have to do it. I mean, what if I went ahead and, like, said, married someone else to Ragnar right now? Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. So we'll search all... slot 0, we'll search for, sorry, not men. We'll search for women in my religion now, and there's probably not going to be that many, because we're just a new religion starting off. We'll search by age. Here's a strong one, she's 9 years old. That's kind of a long time to wait to get married for her son. I'm also guessing that if we chose my religious group, all these guys would just say no. But let's test it out, huh? Like this one, who's old Germanic. She's not a zealot. She probably won't be. Okay, so I can't do that. Let's just see. Let's take a look here. Is our son already 20? He's 22. It's not that big of a difference. Let's just test any kind of pagan who's like of marriageable age. Like if we were to order a marriage, yeah, we don't have even have the option for our son. I say we just let this run and then see what happens, right? I mean, we don't have to get him married right away. Let's just let that run up there. Although we do have to get married ourselves, so let's go ahead and search for women who are in our religion and who are old. That's still kind of young. Let's do religion group, and we'll pick a nice 50-year-old woman here who's disfigured. That's a good idea. Look, can I do that? Let's find out. That's some, you know what, Boss No? That's some out of the box thinking. They probably won't let me do it. Yeah, they won't let me do it. You know, but that's like jumping on the grenade for your son, right? I can't think of a more honorable thing. This one's actually pretty nice in terms of her stats. And she's 50, so let's marry her. Yeah, you know, if she hadn't been zealous, I would have had no problem with the marriage. But, alright, so our guy did some conversions here. Good, we gotta keep on, converting these places. House. So this is actually the guy that he is betrothed to. But if I say decline, will that go away? No, it's just still sitting there. I say we hold off as long as possible. Maybe she'll die or something. Alright, so we're, I think it's almost done, so we can already change the laws. Look at that, they all love me now. You know, for the longest time, they wouldn't let me change any laws, and now they all like me. Let's do a medium organization. Excellent. So we just have to pass, you know, so once once our son becomes king, he'll be able to pass to high, and then it's only a matter of a couple years before he can go to max. So I think the next thing we should do is check on our friends the Franks and see what kind of numbers they can raise. So this guy has, like, the king himself has no demands, but from vassals he can get around 7.5k. That's a good idea too. I just assigned our guy to proselytize. So this is some good advice, boss. No, I appreciate it. What the hell? You're right. We'll honor them, and then we'll hunt her as an apostate later. Okay, so they can raise 7,500 guys. We've wasted a little bit of our infantry fighting, but let's see what we can do here. We can raise like 10k ourselves. I think these are good numbers here. Let's wait until the end of the month, and then we'll just do a quick holy war for Holstein. And we'll do that. Now it's... Okay, there we go. Now the only vassals I'm pissing off are like those two churches under me, so not a big deal. The other thing to consider is that if we do fight a holy war here, Bavaria will join. So how many men can they raise? They can raise, like, let's say 2k. And Lombardy could join as well. And he can raise, let's say 2.5k, so 4,500 plus, that's like 11,000. I still think, well, even if all of them joined, they wouldn't join at once, I don't think. And they wouldn't all come at once. I think we could definitely take them. And there's the added fact that we can put ourselves at the head of the army, and we have 36 marshal. Yeah, I think we can definitely take them on before they organize their armies together. But I do want to kind of leave it as a cliffhanger, and I have been talking for a long time, so I'm gonna put a pin in it here, and I'll pick up kind of around the same time tomorrow. Normally I don't stream during the week, I just do it on the weekends, but I've been kind of having a hankering. Plus, I totally gave up on my last one when I realized I had done stuff all wrong. So boss note, basically, this first king, Sigurdur, he died early, so I was trying to get enough piety, because we already had the moral authority. I was trying to get enough piety to be able to reform their religion. So I was doing county conquests because, like, you get up to 50 piety for each victory, but it's 50 piety based on war contribution. So I was just declaring war and letting my vassals take care of, like, all of these, like, one province guys. And I was like, why isn't my piety going up? And I was doing this for years. And then finally I actually looked at the peace deal one day, and I was like, oh, that's why, because I wasn't fighting them, so I was getting like 0.2 piety. So I got all frustrated and totally quit my game. Which I don't recommend. Stick with it. But I felt like a real jerk too, because here I am, like, streaming, and I'm messing that stuff up. Anyways, long story short, we're going to stop it here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for talking. I'll be here tomorrow, same time. Hope to see you. And if you like this and you've seen watching it on YouTube, please come hang out. Otherwise, have a good night, guys.